And here's the truth. Follow me on this. I think sometimes this little story that I'm telling describes our faith, describes our relationship with God, where we're wandering aimlessly. I hate the word wandering. I never want to do wandering. I want to be intentional of where I'm going. But sometimes our faith can feel like we're wandering, like we're confused. It's aimless. It's empty. It's confusing. Maybe your faith feels like you're just lost. Like, I don't even know what I'm doing in this thing. I don't even get how it works. And the truth is, I bring up faith, and it really just makes you frustrated. You ever been there where you sign up for something, but it's not what you thought it was? Or you sign up for something, but it doesn't deliver what it promised? Maybe that might be your faith. Maybe your faith is something that you signed up for, but it didn't deliver what you thought it was going to deliver. And it's left you frustrated, and that peace and joy and hope that you thought you would have, it just doesn't, it seems to be fleeting. What do you do with that? My little brother, several years ago gave me a gift. It was an orange North Face jacket, which I was really excited about. Orange is my favorite color. And he gave me this jacket, and it's double layer. It had an insulation layer to it, and I loved it. And I put it on, and it felt good. Now, there's something I need to tell you about this North Face jacket. He bought it in China. So it wasn't North Face. It was a complete counterfeit knockoff. And I experienced that because after wearing it for about 5 weeks, all the seams started to come apart. Like it lasted for like maybe 6 weeks, and then I was throwing the thing away because it all just fell apart. It was a knockoff. It wasn't very good quality at all. It was junk, and maybe that represents your faith. Maybe you put on this new faith and you were all excited about it, and you're like, whoop, whoop, and you even got chills, because you thought that was Jesus, like chill. It could have been gas, but maybe you got these chills, and you were all excited, and a tear ran down your cheek, and you were like, okay. And then as you lived out your faith for a few weeks, it just was sort of, wah. And you're like, man, why didn't this last? Maybe you were more excited about feelings than the reality of faith. And so it leaves you feeling like faith is fake. Or you got a counterfeit piece. And maybe the only reason you keep coming back to church is you're hoping you can discover really what's going on here. And why are some people really excited about this, but it just doesn't work for me? What's going on there? So the question then comes in, and here's the question we're going to ask, is what is genuine faith? It's a topic. What is genuine faith? Here's what Paul wrote to the church in Corinth in chapter 13, verses 5. Here's what Paul wrote. Listen to this. He says this. Examine yourselves. That's why we prayed that way. Examine yourselves to see if your faith is genuine. Test yourselves. That's a powerful statement. So Paul's telling these people, hey, test yourselves. Look at your heart and make sure that your faith is genuine, because maybe the reason why your faith feels fake is because it is. Because maybe the reason why your faith feels like a knockoff is because it is. And Paul's saying, look at your heart and make sure that it's real. One of the things I do often, following Paul's advice, as he just asked people to test themselves, is when I'm sitting with couples or people within my office, I'll often start by asking them the question, tell me about your faith. Or if I'm doing pre-marriage counseling, tell me about your faith, or whatever it is, whatever topic I'm visiting with people about. I mean, really, this middle part of my message all comes from conversations that I've had with numerous hundreds of people, and by just simply going, tell me about your faith, and how is your faith, and what is it like? And often I'll say, how is your faith? And one of the responses I get a lot of times is, well, we go to church. And I'll be like, oh, that's awesome. Tell me a little bit more. And they're like, we go to church a lot. Like, that's great. And then I'll often say, with compassion, I'll often say, there's a lot of people that come to church whose faith is dead. There's a lot of people who go to church, but they have no faith. So going to church doesn't mean you're a person of faith. So got to deal with that one. That's a tough one. And then I'll ask this question. I go, well, tell me, I'll push a little bit harder. Tell me tell me a little bit more about your faith. And then I probably 90% of the time I get this response. Oh, I believe in God. I believe in God. Like, that's awesome. Jesus' half-brother said this. His name is James. He says, you say you have faith, for you believe that there is one God. Good for you. Even the demons believe this, and they tremble in terror. So then I'll kindly respond, so you have the same faith as Satan. And then I always say, how's that working for you? But I think we do that. So I believe in God. Awesome, Satan believes in God. Oh, wow, people right now are canceling their counseling appointments with me. This message is working perfectly. No, it's just so good. No, because if it's just simply, I believe in God, I believe he exists, what's an empty faith? You're going to be wandering in that faith, trying to see the reality of it. So then I'll push a little bit harder. And sometimes I get this phrase. This is a common phrase I'll get. And they say it with soul sincerity. In fact, I believe them. They'll say, I love Jesus. Like, that's awesome. In fact, I think if I was to ask each one of you individually, if you and I were just had a conversation, do you love Jesus? I bet most of you in this room, not all of you, but most of you in this room would say, yeah, I love Jesus. I think that would be a response we would quickly give. I love Jesus. And I love what Jesus says, because these next three verses I'm going to read are responses that Jesus gives to this conversation that you're having. Jesus says this. He goes, well, if you love me, obey my commandments. If you love me, obey my commandments. And so I often follow up with people after they say, like I say, I'm talking to a young couple that's in there and they're needing some help. I'll say, how's your faith? Then I'll go this. We love Jesus. So you love Jesus? Okay, let me ask you a couple questions. Are you sleeping together outside of marriage? Yeah, okay. Are you honoring God with your finances? No. Okay. Are you holding bitterness toward people? Yeah, okay. Are you getting drunk? Yeah, okay. Have you killed anyone? No. Awesome! You love Jesus. Are we just being real? So Jesus, he hears all that, and Jesus, he asks a question based on this statement that we say we love Jesus. He's like, okay. He asks, he looks at our life, and then here's his response. He goes, so why do you keep calling me Lord, Lord, when you don't do what I say? Okay, what's your point there? Jesus is asking us a question. In fact, he's asking it to our hearts, every one of us right now. Why are you calling me Lord? Let me change it. Why are you saying you love me if you don't do what I say? Jesus wants you to answer that question. And it's a tough question. We have to wrestle it internally. Because here's why. Jesus is not wanting to beat us up. He's not wanting to hit us and say, shame, shame, shame. He's saying, I love you enough. I don't want you to settle for a knockoff when I can give you the real thing. That's what's happening right here. That's why he's asking this question. I don't want you to be satisfied with something that's going to leave you empty when you can know me and feel fulfilled. So why are you calling me Lord? Why are you saying you love me? Why are you saying you believe in me, but you don't do what I say? And I think what happens is we have this, here's the wrestle. It's like an American kind of faith that we have. Where we put Jesus, we mark the box, I give my life to Jesus, and we put Jesus within this compartment. And when I come to you and I ask you the question, do you love Jesus? In this compartment, you absolutely do love Jesus. I love him. But he's not in your family box, and he's not in your work box, and he's not in your social box, and he's not in your financial box. But boy, over in this box, my Jesus box, I get chills. It's a tear. And you love Jesus in that box. But Jesus, you just stay right there. Don't you be messing with my social life, okay? You stay there because I love you there. I believe in you there, but you don't come here.